and welcome back to the Common Connected podcast. I'm your host, Janine Halloran, and on today's podcast, I get to speak with Katie Clemons. She is a mom of four and an award-winning author and nationally recognized expert in family connection. For over a decade, she has helped over 600,000 families strengthen their bonds through storytelling, conversation, and shared experience. Her work has been featured in The Wall Street Journal, People, CNN, Pregnancy and Newborn, and Good Housekeeping, and she has shared her expertise on HGTV and the TEDx stage. She believes the simplest moments become the most cherished. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Katie. Katie, welcome so much to the Common Connected podcast.
Oh, Janine, I am just thrilled to sit here with you. So thank you for inviting me.
If you don't mind, could you share a little bit about you and your story and how you got to where you are today?
Well, sure. Gosh, let's see. I guess the biggest thing is that I am an author and I write guided journals for parents and children to be able to sit down and just create this cool keepsake that kind of captures, hey, here's where we're at in our life right now. And then also it's a way to kind of dig deeper into what is your child thinking? What are they experiencing? How are they viewing the world? Because, we can be living the exact same experience, but we don't view it the same way. We each have our different lens from age and time and just all the different perspectives that we have. So I've got one of them. I'll show you. This is my mother-daughter journal. And this is for ages 8 to 12. And it's called Love, Mom, and Me. So I like to have prompts in here. So you're talking back and forth, but also sometimes you're drawing and you're playing little games and little surveys, because sometimes we think, oh, journal, I have to write and write and write. And I don't think that needs to be true. I think that we can just explore our stories in other ways together too. So I primarily do that. I also send out free printables to families every week. And my goal there is to just also keep that story going, keep that family connection going, whether it's at the dinner table or writing in a journal. And I'm the mom of four kids. They are 11, 7, 4, and 2 right now.
Oh gosh, you're in the thick of it. That's a tough range, right? Like because they have all these different needs, right? You're parenting at like almost four different stages.
Definitely.
It's very challenging. I'm a mom of two myself, but my kids are teenagers. So I've got a 14 and a 17-year-old. So it is a different life when they're teenagers. There's pros and cons to every stage of parenting. So
That's right. I always read that when they're young, that's when they physically need you the most. And when
yeah.
they're older, that's when they emotionally need you the most.
And that emotional need will happen when you want to go to sleep.
Well, that's why you gotta give them the journals.
I know they come alive at like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, y'all, it has been a day. My pet head is on the pillow. I'm happy to chat with you, but like only for so long before my eyes close. I love that you have all these different journals, and it's really cool to think about having journaling not be specifically only writing. I love that you emphasize the fact that you can do drawing, you can like do some illustrations. It's not just writing, but I do believe that writing is a powerful way, and journaling just in general is a powerful way to connect with kids. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Sure. Well, so sometimes, like you said, your kid is ready to talk, or you're ready to talk, but it doesn't quite work. You need to get dinner on the table, you need to get everybody out the door, or you're just thinking about all these other things. Flip side is we pick up our kids from school or from whatever club they're in, and we're like, hey, how was your day? And we're like, and they're like, I still need a minute. I still need a minute. But they can't communicate that. So what do? They're shrug and they're like, that's fine.
Yep.
That's fine. And, and we're just like, I just want to connect with you. I'm ready. Tell me the story. I was thinking about this the whole way I was here, coming here, watching you in your activity. And so for me, journaling with my oldest is really a nice way to just connect with him when he's ready to talk or
Hmm.
when I have the chance to. So a lot of people like to take my books and tuck them under each other's pillows. And so then, you climb into bed and there's this thing you can read and there's this thing you can write. And also, sometimes when we hear something from our kid, we need to process it a little bit, or we need to just think of the best way to answer that's beneficial for them and not necessarily like all about our experience or our judgments or whatever things that we're feeling so that we can make it about them. And so, what I like about journaling is that we can read this thing from our kid and we can reflect on it before we respond.
Yes, that's huge because sometimes they do ask these like really major questions or just big topics, and you're like, oh gosh, I'm gonna need to get back to you on that.
And then how do you find that moment? We're like, okay, I'm ready to talk to you because now they're like, no, I'm busy doing, whatever thing that they're in the middle of.
Oh my gosh. It's so interesting to think about the like under the pillow. It's kind of like a cute little reminder of each other's presence, right? Like you like see it under there and you're like, "Oh, I have a little message." So I'm wondering, how can you make it feel like not like a chore, but like an actual like fun and natural thing to do?
You followed the kid.
Mm.
And I think that as parents, we have this cool thing we want to do, and we just keep pushing it and pushing it, and then
Oh.
it stops being cool to our kids, right?
Mhm.
So one of the ways that I try to strategically make the books fun for the kids is in the very beginning, they get to write the rules. So, like, let's see, drawing a blank, but like, so in this journal for girls like 4 to 7, in the very beginning, you are going to tell me, the mom, how we're going to keep this journal together. So we will work on this journal together, sometimes alone, apart, with someone else's help. If someone else finds this journal, here's what they need to do. Here's how often we'll write. We'll tell our stories with words, drawings, photographs, stickers. I'm not telling them how to do this book. That's all them. And that's really empowering for the kid to just be like, I'm setting the rules. And also then to not always be like, okay, it's all writing. And I know one of my kids is very resistant to write.
Mm.
So he has gone through and picked all the pages where he's circling this or that and trace your hand. And so he's gotten all those pages finished. And maybe we'll get to all the writing ones. Maybe we won't. But I always think that some story, some connection, that's infinitely better than having done none at all.
Well, and I love that it's child led, right? So because sometimes I feel like we come in and we're like, this is what I know will work because it does, like it does. Journaling does work. Connecting with your kids through journaling is an amazing strategy. But if we're sort of dictating, well, this is how it has to be, it takes the fun out of it for a kid and the power out of it for a child. So if they're the one saying like, well, this is when we'll write, this is how I'll communicate with you, this and the choices giving them the ideas of like it does you don't have to write to me because there are going to be those people those kids who do not want to write at all. They'd prefer to draw, they'd prefer to color, they'd prefer to circle things. To give them that power, that choice, because it's not like you have to go through it in order. They're just picking a page and you're going to it.
That's right. Yeah. So with all my journals, you can go to my website and get a printable, or a different printables, and one of them is a bookmark. So instantly, the kid is picking which page we're going to, or maybe, the parent is and marking it, so
Mhm.
that when you get the journal, you're not necessarily going to the next page. Who knows where you're going? Who knows what's striking your kid in that moment? It's really fun.
It is fun. I love that. And so I'm wondering, if a parent wanted to start on something, what's a simple, doable activity that you could start with that, could help start the journaling process?
I kind of just like to jump in all in And the reason is because sometimes when we just have a little piece, it
Hmm.
might not be enough to spark a kid's interest.
Okay.
Whereas, like in some of my books, I find that parents will tell me, like, he just sat down and did 10 pages at once. And they're like, but wait a second, this is the kid who doesn't write. This is the kid who hates pencils. Like, and all of a sudden they're like, and I don't know what happened, but something clicked for him. So I just kind of go all in.
So you're just like, here, like we're gonna do it. Like, get this is these are your choices. Like, this is yours. Do with it what you will, and I'll meet you where you are.
Yeah. And I
Oh.
will help you with it too, right? So sometimes you can open up a page and the kid's like, well, I don't totally understand what I'm
Hmm.
supposed to be doing. So when they're by themselves, what will they do? They'll probably skip it, right? That's okay. When we're sitting down together, we can be like, because there's some pages where you're going to want to do activities side by side. And then we can find those other pages and be like, well, what do you think this means? And we can talk about it. And sometimes I think that the talking can be more powerful than the actual putting it down on the paper, because what it's done is it's sparked this new topic that maybe the two of you haven't discussed or that just, hasn't come up in your life together.
Well, and I love the connection piece there, right? So not only are you journaling, you can journal solo, but then you also have this time where you do get a chance to connect and start the conversation. Starting conversations can is hard to do sometimes with kids, right? Like your example of like you're waiting and pick up a line. And you know that like we're excited because we haven't seen them all day and we want to hear all about the nonsense that went on through lunch and recess and everything. And they're just like, I cannot even right now. And so it's really it's hard to know when to spark those conversations, to when to like have that opportunity to start talking. But if you have the journal, it can be a natural opportunity to sit down side by side and start these conversations and go wherever it goes.
That's right. And sometimes it's serious. And sometimes these are the ones that usually end up on Instagram. It's things like, Dear Mom, I love it when you, and the kid will write, fart. You're like, what? And it's like captured for all time. And it's like, that's going to be the favorite page for the family until forever, right?
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, right? Like sometimes I feel like we get sort of caught up in like we have to be having teachable moments and teaching and doing all these things to build everything up in their like academically and emotionally and socially. But sometimes we just need to hang out with them, right? Like that connection piece, like just solo hanging out with them together all as a family, like that is also precious. That is where those beautiful memories are made. And that's what, like, you're building the foundation of just a nice relationship with one another.
That is our kids seeing, wow, you love me just how I am.
Yep. Yep. And we are going to watch the Great British Bake Off Junior edition together, and we're just going to sit and enjoy it. We're going to do a puzzle. We're going to go to the playground. Just having those moments of connection, I think, can be so powerful for kids and just enjoyable. Like, just to have fun, to enjoy parenting, to enjoy living as a family.
Mhm. I think that those are often the moments too that when we're adults, we lean back on them. And
Yeah.
those are the memories that have built the foundation of who we are and the
Yeah.
types of parents we want to be. And, sometimes we don't all have that in our childhood.
Yeah.
What we can do is s- work as hard as we can to give those pieces to our kids so that they have that foundation.
I absolutely. Is there anything that you would want parents to know about journaling or connecting with your kids in this way that you feel like is really important for them to know?
Yeah, I would say that we often feel like we have to be perfect. We need
Mm.
our kids to see, hey, I got it all figured out. And then we are pushing our kids often to like, and you need to have it all figured out. So I do have a few rules in the books that I write to the parents.
Oh,
And one of them is kind of, you know, don't have to be perfect here because if you are you, that's the person your kid loves. And if you are loving them how they are, that's what's going to just fill them up for the rest of their lives. So in this book, we're not going to worry about being perfect. We're not going to have the perfect penmanship. We're going to scribble across the pages, spill on it, mom's coffee, the crumbs from your cookie, whatever it is. And that's okay. Because that's just who we are. And as our kids get older, seeing that for them to see that we don't strive to have everything be perfect, we are like, I'm okay with good enough, because this good enough is more beautiful.
Absolutely. Good enough is more beautiful. And, I always talk about giving grace. Give yourself grace. This is your first life too. You're you've never
Right.
been this age before. You don't know what's happening all the time. It's confusing, and it's okay to make a mistake, to own it. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay not to have a Pinterest perfect charcuterie board. Like, you don't have to do all that. You just have to have that genuine affection and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely, Janine.
It's been so great talking with you. I always ask my guests one last question. What are your coping skills? How do you rest and recharge?
Well, it's easy for me because when I start feeling like, I know I just need to go outside, just outside, preferably into the mountains. I'm a Montanan, so if I can be in the forest, that's the best. But, the playground, I know that as parents, we're like, oh my gosh, the playground. But we can find ways to just find that exhale out there. At least that's what I've found.
I actually used to love the playground. Once I was able to figure out how to transition them out of the playground without too much stress, I loved it because they got a chance to play with other people, and it was a lot less intense than having kids at home. Just get your energy out, expend it, go run around, play pretend pirate ship, whatever you want to do, climb. I loved the playground. I would like make grocery lists when they were running around. I would read, listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts. It was great.
Then you go home and nobody's made a mess because you've all been outside together. That's
Exactly.
always
And then you're like, oh, it's snack time. Lovely.
yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, and I have to tell you, as somebody who's listened to a lot of people talk about what are their strategies, outside is always at the top of the list. Everybody loves going outside, including myself. Nature, especially going into the woods, going into the mountains, going to the water. Just getting outside is so, it just allows you to, I think, take a breath and reset your brain. And I think it's such a powerful thing. If people want to learn more about you and your work, where should they go?
The best place would be to my website. That's katieclemons.com. And if you go to katieclemons.com/write, I have some pages from journals that you can print and share with your kids.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for offering that. It's so fun to be able to have like a framework to do it, because it's one thing to like put a notebook under it and like under their pillow and say like, write back to me when you want. But to have like a little bit more of a structure to it can be super helpful for kids. So I appreciate, and for families. So I appreciate that you offer that. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Janine. It's been the greatest experience to be able to make my work be connecting families.
If you like this podcast, please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And as always, take a few minutes, have a little fun, and have an awesome day.